Hey there, this is Kat, and thank you for joining me in my live podcast. Today, I have a wonderful guest that I'm so excited to introduce to you. But before we get started, if you are viewing me live, just drop me a comment and let me know where you're viewing from. I love, love knowing where you guys are tuning in from. And I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to stop and learn something. And I promise you will learn something today, sales related, to help your business take it to the next level. So let me tell you who you're going to meet today. It's Tom Scabareti. He's probably going to correct me. And I was repeating it over and over to get it right. um, and Tom is a sales trainer, mentor, and coach specializing in marketing, staff development, public speaking, business partner relationship development with an understanding and knowledge for product and brand marketing in the senior housing market, the recruitment and staffing, the customer support area, and all other areas of training. He has had hands-on experience in business networking and development of referral business partners. Tom's passion is to find the hidden essence in each person and help them develop it and create their personal success, which is a good example of what a coach or mentor should do, and him being a very good sales coach. So without further ado, let me bring Tom on. So give me a second as I switch some banners here. Okay, great. So welcome, Tom. Welcome. How are you
Kat,
doing today?
I'm good, Kat. Thank you so much for that. It was a beautiful introduction. So,
Awesome. Well, you know what? It's funny, and I'm just gonna share this with everybody. I met Tom on LinkedIn. So, my big push is to meet as many people as I can on LinkedIn. It's a great virtual network. And I was very fortunate to meet with Tom. And when I met with Tom, our dialogue just took off, and we just connected dots. And I said, Tom, you got to be on my podcast because we clearly say the same thing. So, Tom, just introduce yourself. Let us know a little bit about yourself so that anybody joining in can get a feel for who you are.
okay. Okay, great. Well, I have been in business more years than one account, but I've actually worked in 3 different industries, and each one I've been either in management, training, or sales and sales coaching. So, probably about 25 years of direct sales coaching and mentorship, helping people grow their business, develop their skills, and just really learn how to bring a new concept in sales to people, which I really believe in. So,
Awesome. And so let's talk about that for a second because you're really keen on this customer centric selling, right?
yeah, yes. As I said, I have sold and coached salespeople, and one thing I find is that most salespeople aren't really good about following up. And that's because they don't really build any kind of relationship with their customer. So when they try to call to see where the sale process is, they don't know what to say except, "Hey, Kat, are you ready to buy today? Have you made a decision?" So the idea of customer-centric selling, I actually developed this a number of years ago when I built a sales model for an insurance agency in Los Angeles. And it was geared towards high-end insurance sales. These people are
Yeah.
paying, tens of thousands of dollars for their insurance. So when I built this model, I decided not to go traditional. And my opening conversation with my customers was not, "Hey, you want to buy some insurance today?" It was, "What keeps you up at night? What are your problems?" And when I found that when I dug deep into what their need or their want was, I could provide solutions that solved that, whether they're insurance or not. And that built this level of trust that I think is very important in any sales organization. So,
Yeah. And you just brought back like tons of memories for me because I was a sales coach for 27 years in major media. And I
mhm,
remember that would be one key question that we would
okay.
ask for sure.
Yeah, because I think the average customer, when they, I mean, sadly, salespeople have a bad reputation across history, right? But when you go into a sales relationship, the customer is already putting up their guards. I mean,
Yep.
the classic one, I use this a lot in my training. When you go into a car dealer, what's the first thing they say? Can I help you? And what do you say? I'm just looking. No one just goes to look at a car dealership. You go there for a reason. So it's that
Yep.
guard you put up. So I believe in building this, what I call a buying experience versus a selling experience.
Yep.
I want to help you feel comfortable that we're going to go through a process. I'm going to explain the process too. That's really important. Letting them know what it's going to look like. I'm going to answer questions. I'm going to ask you questions. And another thing that I coach very heavily is most salespeople, and again, I put myself in that role too, start out ready to answer the comment with the next statement, the next feature, a benefit. They're ready to shoot it out there. So they listen to hear, but not to understand.
Yep.
And there's a huge difference there to understand what the customer said and go a little deeper to really understand what they're trying to accomplish. Because otherwise, then I'm just typical, just vomiting features and benefits, hope something sticks. And if I'm lucky and my price is right, I get the deal, which to me isn't selling. I don't know what that is. So,
Yeah. And you're exactly right because, you said another key thing that I just did a podcast on was listening. If you listen very well, they're going to tell you a lot more than you think. But you
yep,
have to learn to listen very well because not everybody can listen and pick up clues, right?
right. Well, and along that same line, I also believe that what the words people use are very powerful too. If someone tells you that they're scared or they're frightened or they're nervous, that's a powerful word. And that means a lot to me to find out more instead of just, oh, okay, great. Well, let me type of this product. And that's not how you sell. Selling should be a positive relationship that builds trust.
Yep.
And if you can do that, um, it pays you back tenfold. And that's sort of the core of this customer centric. There could be a time where my product isn't right for you. After we've had a conversation, it's
Yep.
not right. However, if I've built and this is a key element that I want to talk about later, if I build a good network of business partners I work with, I can bring in a solution that may be right for you. And
Yeah.
all of a sudden, I bring this new level of value and relationship way beyond the other salesperson. It makes me much, much more valuable. And I may not get the sale today, but I'll get something out of it down the road, whether it's referral or just a positive, review on a Yelp.
Yeah. And so, okay, I'm going to share another
Yeah,
situation
you
with
go
you
ahead. Yeah.
because you just brought up another point, and this really is interesting on how it plays out and how well a salesperson really listens to their client. We had a client call me and my account manager, and the client said in a Zoom call over and over, and I always try to use these as coaching opportunities for my team, but she
Hmm.
said repeatedly, I want you to tell me what to do. She said it loud and clear. Okay.
Hmm.
She
Yeah.
didn't, wash it down. She didn't like fumble around it.
Just
She
straight
said
out
it,
there.
yes, very candidly. I want you to tell me what to do. And it was interesting because I wanted to see how the account manager played that out, right? And the
Hmm.
account manager said, well, once again, client ABC, we have this option, this option, this option. And clearly did not listen, right, to,
Hmm.
because the client wanted us to just say, well, okay, we're going to do option 2 because that's
Right.
exactly what you want and that's going to deliver exactly what you need,
Right.
right?
Yep. It's matching that solution, and I've used that same approach too. From what you've told me and what I've heard, it sounds like this would be the best option. How's that sound to you? And so you're giving that guidance without pushing something.
Yeah.
And you're right. When they tell you that, that's what they're asking for. They're asking you to
Yeah.
do that. So you go, okay, well, I can do that.
Yeah.
Another
But
way I've used, I'm sorry, go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say I've seen that happen a lot though, where
Yeah.
a client will say it in some way, form, or fashion. I want you to tell me what to do, right? In some form or
Hmm.
fashion. Maybe not as direct. Sometimes they walk around it.
Right.
Whereas the person keeps selling and
Oh,
selling you know what I mean?
oh
It's
yeah.
like,
Yeah. I
stop already.
I saw videos a bunch of years ago where this salesman was, the guy's writing the check and he's still trying to sell on top of the guy writing the check. It's like, stop.
Shut up.
He's right there. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's
Uh,
nuts. Another way I've used my customers in the same basis, I say used in a positive way. Um, I will say, can I ask you a really big favor? And they say, oh, sure. I say, you know, sometimes when I talk to other prospects, they're just not sure if this is right for them. And since you have experienced this, would you be willing to talk to them for me? I mean, they know I'm a salesperson, but if it comes from you, it's probably more believable. And it does two things. Number one, I've created now a endorsement from a true customer to another customer. But
yep.
more importantly, I've made that customer feel very important that I ask them to do this for me. And
Yep.
again, it's a great way of building that relationship. And you get that prospect who's not sure and they go, well, look, it creates this transparency. If I let you talk to someone who's experienced my sale, I'm pretty open about that. So you go ahead and talk to them. They'll tell you what the good and the bad. And all of a sudden they go, well, okay, you must be honest because you wouldn't do that otherwise. So
Right,
yeah.
exactly. And that's another great example. Okay, so let's go through some of your customer centric selling
Okay.
key things. So, how is it different?
Okay. So the key is starting out with the idea that I want to understand what the customer really wants. They may have answered an ad or saw a on-site line, something to click, but tell me why you called. What's the real need you have here? Because oftentimes they think they know what they want, but until you really do that deep explore or discovery, you don't know. So
Yep.
I want to have a conversation where I ask you questions, you ask me questions, and then once I pinpoint, I want to clarify. I love recapping in sales. So if I understand correctly, you need this because it will solve this problem. Is that correct? If they go, yes, I go, okay, great, we're on the right page. Now let's look at some options for that. And I always want to encourage my customers to feel they have control. Now, I say this completely honestly. I'm never going to lose control of the sale, but I want them to feel they're in control
Yep.
because that way it takes that fear away. So I always say things like, well, I want you to make the right decision. I want to make sure this is right for you.
Yep.
And then we go through the options. And then, as you said in your example, if someone says, well, tell me what to do, I'll go, well, okay, I can't make the decision, but if I were in your shoes, here's what I would do.
Yeah.
So again, it's giving them permission to do that. So the
Right.
customer centric says, once I identify what the goal is, I try and provide a solution. And that's where I have to sort of pre-build this network of professional experts that are my business consultants. Um, Again, I'll reference this insurance program I built. Um, since it was high net worth, I had a lot of business partners that I connected with. I had someone who was an ex-FBI agent who did security and cybersecurity. I had an art dealer who did appraisals, and I had a wine dealer who reviewed bottles of wine and gave valuations. I had a videographer, I was in LA at the time, a videographer who worked in the film industry who would videotape their collectibles and all their possessions. So when I'm talking to a customer and I found a need, I could just plug this person in and say, oh, well, here's a solution for you. And all of a sudden, my value just raised up and their comfort to work with me was much higher. So it's the ability to understand other needs your customer may have and have those resources available to you. Because in the
Absolutely.
end, you can give a referral to that business partner. Would they be sad? Kat, if I gave you a referral, would you be sad with me? Of course
No.
not, right? You'd be excited. And so, and then that quid pro quo would happen because um, I also teach a class on how to network. And when you build these relationships, you have to set ground rules with your business partners. So
Right.
understand that if it's gonna give and take. I expect to give you business, and you can give me business. If I have that relationship, then I'm comfortable to give referrals to you all day long because I know it'll come back to me tenfold. So
Yes, that makes sense. Um, okay. So then I guess the other question would be, why does it work?
um, I think it works because it changes your role. I wrote this little white paper a couple of years ago when I was teaching sales to a large real estate, leasing. They lease apartments. And in life, when you've been in sales, you understand what they say is you want to be a trusted advisor. That's the goal. I'm a
Yep.
trusted advisor. Well, I do too, but the reality is the first time I meet you as a customer, I can't be a trusted advisor. You don't even
Yep.
know me yet. This article I wrote said, I'd rather be a guide. And you think about a guide, if you've ever been on any kind of a trip, what does a guide do for you? Well, first they get you where you're going to go. That's important. They entertain you along the way with stories or information and answer any questions you have. So I'd rather be the guide in the sales process to you. So let me guide you through it. I'm going to explain what it's going to look like. Here's what's going to happen. And then we're going to come to a decision point. At that point, it'll be your decision, and I'll supply whatever information you need. So I've created this approach that says to the customer, I'm not selling anything. I'm just trying to help you make a decision, which
Right.
takes, again, that pressure of being sold away, because that buyer's remorse always creeps in after you've made a sale. And you're like, oh, I do the right thing. Maybe I should have thought, that I checked prices. And it also, another thing I believe very firmly in is value. I've never been a price seller in my entire career,
Right.
because if I build value, the price doesn't matter. I think I may have told you the three companies that I own some very small stock holdings are Apple, Disney, and Starbucks, because all three of those companies are not cheap, but they build value. And so if I can build value as a salesperson, price is a piece of the discussion, but it's not the main discussion piece.
Right. And that makes complete sense. Um, and I think there's a thing to that is, when you're building value and when you're creating that trust, you know,
Hmm.
there is a lot in play there, in that you're not going to do that overnight.
No,
Right?
no.
That is not going to happen overnight. And I think for a lot of salespeople, and maybe newer ones too,
Yeah.
is they don't understand that it takes 10 appointments or 10 calls, a
Right.
lot of time. And this is a minutia of work, right? Because it takes
Hmm.
so many tries to get the one call right in front of that
Right.
person. And a lot of times it's not because that person is avoiding you or doesn't want to meet with you. Sometimes they're just busy, period.
Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah. And
and if you give up, you might have lost that one good
yeah,
call, right?
100%. And as much as I hate to say it, sales is about numbers. It's a numbers game. So part of my goal in my coaching is to improve your conversion rate.
Yeah.
If I can reduce the number of appointments you need or calls to get an appointment, that's helpful. If
Yep.
I can improve your skills so when you're in that appointment, you can move to the next step, that's helpful. So the higher conversion rate makes my life easier as a salesperson, but also it also puts more money in my pocket, so I'm making more sales too.
Right, exactly. And then if a salesperson doesn't know what the conversion rate right now is, that's a
Right.
problem.
Oh, a huge problem, huge
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
I managed this insurance agency for a number of years, and I had to actually build a matrix for these new salespeople because they're like,
Mhm.
"Oh yeah, let's play some golf and get some business." No, not going to work that way. Here's what you're going to do every week: this many appointments, this many
Yep.
prospects, this many calls. You
Yep.
hit those numbers, you will hit your goals, but you got to hit the numbers.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
And it to me, it's more of a minutia. The more strategic you are, the better at the
right.
game, right? It's like a
Yep.
game of chess. The more that
Oh yeah.
you're better at it. If you don't put in the time and energy in the minutia, then you're really going to miss out, and your sales cycle will be a lot slower and
Right.
longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very, very true. So.
Yeah. Okay. I don't think you're going to share this, but maybe you will. So, how do you implement the customer
Uh,
centric selling?
Well, actually, I will share. I'll give
Okay.
you a little preview. Um, yeah, people are, I do have like 5 key tips to start the program off. So if people are interested, reach out to me. I'll share that with you. But the first one is really understanding that um, empathy is the first key in this role. You have to have empathy for your customer. Understand the pain they're going through. Understand their situation. Show them that you really care first rather than just trying to push this product. So you have to sort of reset your mindset to my goal is to provide solutions.
Yep.
That's what I do for a living. And if it benefits me financially, that's great. If it doesn't, I've made the world a better place. So it's that empathetic approach in your mindset of going out there and your customer will know if you're truly empathetic, they will feel that across the table, across the phone, and they'll realize it's a person they can talk to.
Yeah. No, that makes total sense for sure.
Yeah.
So I guess give me your feedback in this because I'm a little complex by this because
Okay.
I come from the world of media, of course, and I sold to business owners. Okay. Never
Yeah.
having been a business owner,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to have empathy, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So, so how do you get
Well,
around that?
I think we have this thing called the internet, which is really important. I use it a lot. So when I first started in the business, I didn't have that, but I use it to research. So before I go to meet with a customer or if I'm looking at a job opportunity, I want to learn about that company. I want to understand who they are, what their mindset is. So if I find out that my prospect has a mission statement, they have goals for their employees, this tells me a lot about the heart of that company. So now I can go in and I can share similar thoughts or even mention, hey, I was looking at your website. I'm really impressed you have those kind of, principles. Those are great to build on. So now I'm talking about something that's important to you.
Yep.
Um, in my networking class I teach, I talk about common ground. Um, if I can find common ground with you outside of business, our relationship magnifies tenfold. If we
Yep.
like the same sports team, if we hate the same sports team, if we like the same kind of food, and we can talk about that, now our relationship is built on a different level than business, and it can transition over to, oh, well, this person must be okay because they like the same food I do. Let's talk about business. So again, it's a research, knowing, don't never walk in blind to a customer, learn about their business. You don't have to be the expert. I wouldn't walk into an electrical engineer and try and talk electronics. I know what their sales pitch is. Look at their marketing. You can learn so much from a website about a company, and that can give you some insight. And again, when you tell them how much you enjoyed it, they feel good about the conversation because you've given them some positive feedback.
Right. And that makes total sense. And that's great. And I'm glad that you said that, and especially the emphasis on research, do your homework, because I think a lot of times, um, and, and I feel this and see this a lot. Okay. A lot
Hmm.
of times people want instant gratification. They want a landing page. They want a funnel. They think that
Right.
these are going to convert on their own. And let me use a great example, especially clients with a high
Hmm.
ticket
Yep.
item. And, I always use myself in those shoes when I talk to a client who wants some kind of funnel on it to convert without any human contact. And I'm
Right.
like, put yourself in your future client's shoes. Are you going to buy a $5,000 product without talking to someone?
Right. No, you're
I
not.
mean,
Yeah.
you know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah. Oh no. I absolutely. I think that human nature is so important. I have a mentor that I follow on LinkedIn. I'll give him a free plug, Marcus Sheridan, who is a great guy. He built a successful business on this concept of they ask, you tell. So his website is very open and transparent, and I think that is a key that I should be able to go get information. I shouldn't feel like I have to talk to somebody right away, but when I have questions, they have to be available to me. So it lets
Yes,
me have that control on there. So sharing information is good because you should not be afraid of your information. I shouldn't be afraid to tell you what I do or how it works or what the cost is. If I'm afraid of it, I don't believe in it. And that comes across real clearly.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's a great comment to make. Okay. Um, so anything else we should know about the customer centric selling that I haven't asked you about?
I think that the key is you have to have this network of business partners that you work with in business in general, whether it's customers or selling. I should have people that I can rely on and trust. And I belong to quite a few of these paid networking groups. I have nothing against them personally. I just think you can create your own much more efficiently. So I would recommend if you're starting your business, go find 3 or 4 people who sell similar services to your client base
Yep.
and have a monthly meeting with them. And we're out of COVID, so have lunch with them and just chat. That will create a much stronger network of similar resources to help you and help them. And then you can say, well, great, I'm going to go meet with Kat next week, and she's looking for this. Do you have any product that might fit her needs? Because then when I'm talking to you, I also can plug in this other. And so again, my value as a salesperson raised up because I'm not bringing in one solution. I'm bringing in multiple solutions, and they may even link together and work well.
Yeah.
So
That is some great advice. I love that, Tom.
okay,
That's very good advice. Yeah, I
well,
hope
thank you.
that. Yeah, I hope anybody tuning in really takes advantage of that advice, because that to me is a great takeaway, and it's something that you can do on your own. You know,
Right.
again,
Yeah.
you're going to find those people and do that on your own, which is great, and it's free. You're not paying for it. You're not,
Right.
so
Yeah, because those groups, actually was involved with one where I was a director, and the only challenge of those groups is they have this expectation that you will give referrals,
yeah,
and we can't always do that. So if I can
yeah.
keep it on a more casual basis, where it's more shared thinking,
Yep.
I think it's more valuable to you.
Oh yeah, and sometimes in those situations where you're expected to bring in a referral, that creates more anxiety and
Right.
less likely to participate, because you're like, I
Yep.
don't have anybody to bring, so I'm going to miss it. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. So,
yeah.
all right.
So
Good.
okay, perfect. Okay, and then so how do people get a hold of you as we wind down and wrap this up? How do
Okay.
people get a hold of you?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm the only Scabareti on there, so you can pretty much find me.
Oh,
And so you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to connect. I'm a lot like you, Kat. I try and build as many connections as I have. I'm just over 3,200 right now. I'm looking to get to 5,000 if I can, because I don't do it just to connect with people. Because now I have these resources I can connect other people with. I
yep,
believe that the key to LinkedIn is being the connector and
yep.
bringing people together. So reach out on LinkedIn for me. I can share my email address if people want. You're welcome to reach out to me directly. And if you do reach out, I will give you what I call a tip sheet on how to start your customer-centric selling. And if you want to engage further, then we can have a conversation. I'm happy to provide any resource, whether it's coaching, mentoring, just even I will give a free assessment of your sales process for you and tell you what I think, whether it's a good one or bad one. So.
Yeah, and that's fantastic. And that is a great takeaway for anybody that is tuning in. And then before we, is there anything else you wanted to add to that?
No, just
Okay.
I'm always willing to help people, and it doesn't always have to be on a business relationship. I'm just here to help people grow. So
Right. And you know what? I'm glad you said that, because, too many times I personally seek out mentors, even if it's for a quick question.
mhm.
It's not for anything more than, hey, I'd just like to ask you this. I see that you're in the same area I'm in, and I'm trying to do
Right.
this. And, can I ask you a quick question? A lot of times I love it if they say, sure, give me a call, Kat. I'm happy to answer
Yeah,
your question, you know?
yeah. I think we have to. We've got to give back in this world. We've gone through too many crazy years of bad times. So helping somebody is always a good thing.
Oh no, absolutely. It's got to
Yeah.
pay it forward. Okay. Any words of advice for anybody tuning in as we wind this down and wrap this up?
I think just a couple of things as a business owner. Um, Number one, know your market. Understand who your market is, who your client is, and take a deep look at your customer base and your product. Are you selling to the right people, or do you need to modify your approach? And then secondly, um, go out there with an open eyes and open heart with your prospects. The more you become vulnerable to them, they'll see you're a real person, and they'll probably connect with you more than that slick, sassy salesperson. Wham bam. That's not selling to me. I'm not even sure what that's called. So,
Right. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Those are great words of advice. I appreciate that.
okay.
And again, if you are tuning in now, please hit replay and watch from the beginning, because this is all about customer centric selling, which is really different from your typical hardcore sell. Or a pressure sell, and there are lots of different ways to sell, and again, this is really based on your personality. But if you're having a tough time at it, this is probably a great one to test and use, because it is a little more endearing. It's a little more relating to your client, and listening,
Hmm.
really listening.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Tom, for joining me today. I really appreciate that.
Oh, Kat, thank you for this forum. I love what you do, and I really appreciate a chance to chat with you. And I'm always here to help whatever you need. So,
Okay, great. And if I don't talk to you before the Christmas holidays. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to you too. Have a happy holiday. Okay.
Thanks. Thank you for tuning in to my episode today for Stand Out and Grow. If you're just now catching it, please hit rewind and catch it from the beginning. This episode is really based on the customer-centric selling, which is a great way to test and try if you're not having any success in closing or selling. Give it a go and connect with Tom on LinkedIn. If you watch the video, you'll see, and I'll put his links below in all of the comments so that you can connect to him. Until next time, as I always end this, you got this.